Oh yeah. Revolution of creativity, it's taking flight. Rad TV, the future is bright. Yeah, 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 yeah. Rad TV, changing the game, breaking the mold. Empower creators, stories unfold. Unfold, unfold. With Web3 and AI, they pave the way. Reimagining the future every single day. Oh, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh.
Well, let's kick it off. We gave everybody 3 minutes to get here. Everyone, thank you for joining today. Before we get too far into this, Harry, would you like to be referred to as your handle or as Ryan during this conversation, my king?
I am easy the way, Cam.
All right, cool.
Whatever you want to call it.
Sounds good. Just want to start off by saying thank you to Uncanny Harry and Halim for joining us today. Both incredible creators and very happy to have their time and their expertise to talk about what is got to be the most interesting topic on the planet right now. I mean, it's really every week is new developments and new breakthroughs and new tools that are, in my opinion, mind-blowing. My name is Cameron. I'm head of marketing and community at Rad TV, and we do about a bi-weekly podcast show that we call NFTV, where we interview creators and hear what they're working on, hear about their processes, and very happy to have Uncanny Harry and Halim Alrasihi, I hope I said that correctly, King, joining us today. Uncanny Harry's name's Ryan J. Phillips. He was previously lead director at BBC, and he's currently a filmmaker experimenting in emerging AI tech and was recently titled an AI Rockstar by Indiewire, which incredible to be called that at this day and age. Like, so groundbreaking, and to have that title at this time is like, what a future. I don't think either of you are even close to your ceilings. It's like that you're really just getting started and at the pinnacle of AI content creation. So excited to talk to both of you. Halim Alrasihi has made some of the most incredible content that I have seen. I mean, really, I put it at almost visual trailer level for motion pictures. I mean, really some incredibly consistent works that have been stitched together in a way that, almost pass as Hollywood productions, and they're long enough that they kind of go above and beyond what you're expecting in the AI space today as far as storytelling, and they make you think that there's a longer script and a longer production flow going into this. And when I first spoke to him, I was like, are you doing all this? He was like, yeah, I did everything. I'm like, incredible. So, happy to talk to you both today. Super casual conversation. We're just hanging out, and there's really no set agenda. So anybody, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions while we're moving along here, and let's get started. I'd love to kick it off with Uncanny Harry. I think anybody here that scrolls through your feed will see the incredible works that you're creating and how tapped into the AI space you are. And thanks for joining us today. How are you? What are you working on? What's going on with you?
Hey there, Cam. Yeah, I'm good. I've just got in from work. I'm technically still a lead director at the BBC.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, but that is going to change probably next week, where I am going all in on AI.
Wow. Incredible news. Amazing.
You're the first to hear it. I've got to that crossing point where traditional media is on the decline and AI media is on the increase. I've got enough work to sustain me for maybe 3 months. And so I am going to roll the dice, mate. So
good for you. Congratulations. And wow, what a time. I mean, that's a great way to start this conversation off. I know you might not be able to speak on this, and fine if you can't, but Is BBC even interested in AI generated content, or are you seeing such a clear path forward in the AI space that like it's a no brainer to you got to go now?
Yeah, the BBC, obviously, like a lot of traditional mainstream media, is reticent about AI because of the moral and ethical implications, which is totally understandable for, when you've got a lot of vested interest and a lot to lose by sort of changing tact. Big beasts are going to be slow to move. So yeah, it was just for me personally. I'd got to the tipping point where I was struggling to ride both horses, and I got to the point where I had to make a choice. Do I jump or do I stay on the horse I'm on? Because obviously you want to have a family life, and you want to be able to play a video game or watch a film now and again.
Absolutely.
And I was getting to the point where that's not possible because I was taking on so much AI work, and working 40 hours a week for the BBC wasn't really sustainable.
I can't wait until BBC hires you back to do AI work.
It'll be at least 2 years. At least 2 years.
That's great. So, what are you working on right now, and what's your first project as you take the leap?
So, I'm not sure if I can name names, but I've got an artist in residence with a major advertiser, which I'm doing sort of some tutorials for them, and some sort of previs stuff that they're gonna use online, and sort of they're starting to get their firm across AI. They're very forward thinking. I'm working for a company called Dream Flare. I'm posting stuff on Rad.
Yes.
I'm trying to monetize my content as much as possible. I know you guys were the first out there to support creators, Cam, and I really respect that because that's really forward thinking. We're seeing a lot of other platforms joining the fray now, so
yep.
I think it's the right time to get involved now. Obviously, people like myself are going to be pioneers. It's not going to be a straight road because this is all unbroken snow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I've got some more advertising work, all sorts of different. Some of it's previs, some of it's actual end product stuff, and also I want to make my own stuff. There's platforms like yourself, like Escape, that want content. There's YouTube that want this content made, and I think that now is the time to strike, to be ahead of the pack and take the gamble. Will yield the most rewards.
We agree. We look at content creators right now, individual content creators, as the next major production houses. And we are really trying to not differentiate between individual content creator and some, a well-known brand name. I won't say any names because I don't want to offend anyone. But we really believe that the next, I don't even like putting a time frame on it anymore, because I've spoken to enough creators and I'm in the space enough to feel that any time frame that I project is kind of arrogant in a way. Like, I don't know what's coming, and to pretend that I do is, that's probably the worst move you could make right now. And, we're really excited, and we think any day a creator could release that piece that really puts AI into the forefront of everyone's conversation, and to know that there's no going back. And something I think the entire space kind of repeats to themselves is like, today's the worst it'll ever be. And when you keep that mindset, it's kind of mind blowing of, what is coming tomorrow. And so I would love to ask you, what tools are you using currently, and what are you most excited about that's maybe in the pipeline, and where do you feel we are with the tool set right now? Do you feel there's enough available to get things done, and you feel that some of these tools will be the fundamental pieces moving forward, or do you feel you have to be trying every new thing out just to see where it is, and you're not really putting all your eggs in one basket as a tool set? How are you? Because I know you're working with several of the major toolkits, and you are getting early access to things. I've been watching you do that. So like, what are your thoughts at the moment on the tool sets available?
I think we're at a stage where they're good enough. that's my professional view. They are good enough. You're now in a situation where they're good enough that if you've got a strong story, if you've got a good idea, that people are going to look past some of the flaws because there's some stunning stuff that you can do with it. All right, it's not 100% perfect yet. There's some morphing in places and whatnot, and perhaps the definition level is not at the level we want for blow-ups on cinema, or if you've got a massive screen. But certainly for social media and small screen stuff, it is definitely good enough that if you've got a good story, that you can let viewers invest in that story and let everything else melt away. In terms of the tool set, I'm presently using Luma because it's one of the strongest image to videos. Kling, I think that's what we call it. No one can give me a real definition, which is the Chinese model, which I've done some work to get on my PC now. I'm using Korea, Magnifique, Hedra, which is showing some good promise. It needs a bit more development to make it a real cinema tool, but Cole, one of our listeners here, did a really nice piece recently with it. And of course, I've got to give respect to my fellow speaker, Halim, because he did a really, really good piece with Hedra.
He sure did.
With the sort of robot war stuff, which was really good. I was in the beta testing of that, and I could see its potential straight away as a really good, quick workflow to get you a good level of animation out of a character in a way we haven't seen before. But yeah, although I love the tools and I like experimenting, what I would advise people is don't get too attached to tools, because they are quickly, all of us in this space know that you get into a tool, you love it, 3 months later, it's not cutting edge anymore, and you need to learn something else. So too much experimentation is probably a bad thing as well. Have a little play with it, get to know the boundaries, and then apply it. Because if you're playing with something for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, it's probably going to be out of date. Make things. That's what I would suggest. Make things quick. And don't get attached to tools. Get attached to tool makers who support creatives, and platforms like yourself, Cam, who support creators. Because tools will come and go, but the companies that support creators are the ones that we want to endorse, and the ones that we want to support, because they will have our best interest going forward. I've been very disappointed with OpenAI and the way that they've offered their model. I know some of the people that have offered the model. My friend Rez, who's got to play with it, he's a brilliant filmmaker, and I don't want to disrespect people who've got their hands on the model. But it's been quite, limiting in terms of their support of creators. They seem to be wanting to tout it to Hollywood and that sort of level. So I'm more interested in the companies that want to support individual creators rather than try and chase legacy stuff.
Absolutely. I wonder how many of these platforms that are offering these tool sets have simultaneous silos going of they have something available for creators on the front end, and they're also shopping something that's either more powerful or less restrictive on the back end to a major production studio. Because there's no reason, of course you need to limit it, what you're giving to people so you're not getting sued. But if you do have an ultra powerful model that you are putting limitations on, it would make a lot of sense to at least make the phone call, and say hey, you guys want to see a demo?
Totally. It's like having a prosumer camera and a professional camera.
Sure.
That I wouldn't get upset with that, but not just making the professional camera and saying, sorry, for you guys, this is off limits. It's going to be too expensive. We won't even try and offer a model that's less, that's more affordable and more usable. It just sort of goes back to the sort of legacy stuff that we've dealt with. And what I love about AI is the fact that it's exploding, gatekeepers, and it's exploding the barrier to entry. Anyone can tell these stories. You could be a poor kid in South America. If you can rustle up $200, you can make a short film.
As long as you have a story, absolutely.
As long as you have a story, that's what's going to be the defining aspect.
Yeah.
If you're in Eastern Europe, if you're in South America, if you're a poor kid in England, like I was, you'll be able to get 200 quid together by working in a pizza place for 3 months and tell that story. And if it's good enough, it might just punch through. And that's
Absolutely.
what the marketplace for ideas is, isn't it? And that's what's really exciting about this is that it opens up market. We're not going to just be. I love Marvel. Don't get me wrong. I've been a Marvel fan since I was a kid. Spider-Man posters on my wall, but loads of people are emulating that model and producing the same stuff, and we're not seeing those films in the '90s that took risks because they're just too expensive to make now.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see AI as a space where the Pulp Fictions, where the Amelie's, these sort of high production, quite niche films. This is going to be the space that they come from now.
Agreed. So I want to ask you a question about the tool set, and I think this will be a great transition to start talking to Halim. When you are in the middle of a work and you're working on something, are you at the point with the tool sets that you're able to think you know exactly what tool you need to accomplish this, or are you trying out the same concepts in different tools to see what the best result is and then going with that as your final piece? I'm just wondering, like, how are you envisioning, because as a creator myself, I can see the end result and I know how to get there, and I know that there's 100 ways to skin a cat, so to speak. So are you testing out the different ways of cat skinning here, or do you know exactly this is the tool I need right now and this is the way I'm going to utilize it to get the result that I want?
Yeah, so when we were back in the days of Pika and Runway Gen 2, they quite level pegged and there was a bit of strength. So I'd often run the same generations in both to see if I could get which one was going to do me the better result. But I think now we're starting to see leaders, like at the moment, if I do image to video, it would be Kling or it would be Luma. They're my go-to for image to videos because they outstrip the others. So, if I can't get it from Luma, I'll go to Kling and vice versa. Like the eating and drinking in Kling and the sort of really basic human stuff in Kling is really good. But in Luma, you get more dynamic, cinematic stuff. So yeah, I think it's important to know your ballpark. What is the best of this? What is good for that? But you're going to slow yourself down if you're running everything across everything. So have a workflow for yourself with your go-tos and have a backup. So if you're running one thing through a generation and your generator is not working, you have maybe a plan B. But I think one of the big problems with AI is there's so much you can do with it. There's so much choice. There's so many rabbit holes you can go down. Oh, actually, this could be an anime. Oh, actually, why don't I turn that into that? Why don't I, and you
limitations
almost
work to be more creative in a way.
Exactly.
And this is limitless. Yeah.
Exactly. Limitations narrow your path. And so you get there quicker because you've only got one or two paths to go down. With AI, the paths are endless, and it's important to remember that when you're making stuff, have an end goal, stick to it. Don't get lost in the woods of playing with the tech. Remember, you're trying to tell a story, and that's the ultimate goal, is to tell a story that you can then show your viewers. You're not just, getting off on how good the tech is. I sort of split my time, on X. I'll show people my experiments and enjoy that as a techie thing with people. And then I'll retreat and go and make something long form and put that on a platform or, try and monetize it. So I think, it's important to separate those worlds and not do too much experimentations when you're trying to reach an end goal.
I love that you asked. That was going to be my next question is, are you setting aside specific time to play with these tools and to just see what they can do? And then are you going back in and doing something serious? So like you're kind of finding the ropes and then getting in and then really taking some punches.
Yeah, I think that it's important to define that. And it's also important, this is the difference with AI, is it's important to give the AI a role in the process. So sometimes it will do things weird or it do things unexpected, and it's important that you see the opportunity in those things and perhaps loosen your story grip a little bit. It's the same as if you're a director and an actor does something brilliant. You don't say, actually, that's not in the script, mate. Go back to, you go, hold on a minute, that was amazing. Let's see what we can do with that. Can we incorporate that? Can we go with that? Because that will make your piece better. I think a lot of the problems with client work at the moment, they're very rigid. They want to see, it's like traditional media. We want that guy to move exactly there and that, like that. And they're not understanding that that is not the best way to get the best out of the AI. You let it do its thing to a certain extent, and you allow, it's a collaborator, you work with it. If you try and force it into a hole, sometimes it can be quite ugly.
Right.
So
Like,
yeah,
yeah. The AI has its own vision. That's not.
mm,
That's not the vision of whoever's demanding the output or the product, which is
mm.
interesting. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Harry. Harry's
Cheers.
name is Ryan J. Phillips, everyone, and really awesome to hear. That first 20 minutes. It was you're incredible and very well spoken. You can tell you've been in the industry prior in the traditional content creation world, and it's awesome to speak to someone who has such great experience there and now transitioning into this entirely new world with the skill set that the old guard kind of helped craft. So awesome, and thanks so much for your time today, Harry. Halim, my king. First time we spoke, I was absolutely blown away by your AI could be the end of humanity piece, and I think everybody was. It's up to like 60,000 views on X or something like that, which is insane for something that's only 15 days old. And it's, one of the best pieces. When I first saw it, the first thing that came to mind was District 9. Really felt like it was an offshoot of that world, and the characters are so consistent. The sound design, the lip sync is so amazing. We just retweeted it on our account. If anybody hasn't seen that, just go to our account. It's the first post there. And as Harry's talking about using Kling, one of the things that really blew me away was Halim talking about his process, and that's something he loves to do. He does tutorials. He's sharing them. If you go to his page, you can click to his link tree, and you can find tutorials that he's posting. He posts them on YouTube. He just made a Rad account. Thank you for doing that. Awesome to have you. And he's excited about sharing these processes, which I'm finding quite polar opposites in the space at the moment. There's some people that are very excited and happy to share the way they work, and then there's other people that are kind of reclusive and or even repulsed by, like, they don't want to share because either they feel that their processors are being used to create the same type of things they are, or their prompts are being reused. So I'm really excited to talk to both creators today that are doing their best to share this information, because I think that's how we progress the space, regardless if you're a creator trying to monetize it or if you're someone that is, just playing with it. The best way forward right now is to really be talking about these processes. So something that blew me away was when you said you were using ChatGPT to type in prompts in English and then converting them to Chinese to use with Kling. And I was just like absolutely blown away that was the process that you're using. So Halim, thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear more about what you're working on at the moment, and would love to hear a little bit of background on your End of Humanity piece that has touched so many people and it's still gaining traction. It seems. It doesn't seem like it has seen the end yet. So wherever you want to kick it off, like I said, just casual conversation here, and thanks again for joining us.
Wow, thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Germany. It's currently 8 p.m. here. And first off, huge thanks for these kind words. I already said it yesterday. I never received so much support and so much love for a project like Genesis. Genesis is my new upcoming movie. It's also my biggest project. And I would even say it's my first real AI short movie that I want to create. I already talked to Cameron. I'm not a professional filmmaker. I wouldn't consider myself a filmmaker. I'm more of an upcoming filmmaker. And that's why I really appreciate to be here on Space with Harry and with other professionals. I just would love to mention a thing. So when I starting taking X in AI serious, it was in Christmas last year. Harry was one of the first creators that I've seen, and I was extremely amazed by the creativity that he's publishing and sharing. And there were a lot of AI creators showing me all this stuff, and I've been really influenced by the AI community. And that's why I love sharing everything I do. And I always say it, be aware of gatekeepers and be aware of becoming one. It kind of works like karma, right? Some people believe in karma or in something else that works like karma. So it's not only what you give, you get. I also think what you get, you should give. And this AI community gave me so much. So I'm really happy to share everything I do. Everything is open. I'm looking forward to create more AI video tutorials if I find the time, and I'm really, really passionate about that. And I remember when I started, I'm asking people, hey, how you did this, how you did that. Now people reaching out to me and asking me about pretty much all workflows and showing them how to get. It's an interesting change that happened over the month, and I think this is just the power of showing up every day.
Absolutely. Do we lose you there? Are you still here, Halim?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, no. I think it is the power of showing up every day. And, I'd love to know, you're working on a project called Genesis, you said. And, I have similar questions for you that I had for Harry. What tool sets are you relying on at the moment? And how are you kind of utilizing them? Are you doing a lot of play, or are you going in with a vision and trying to get that vision to come to life across all the tools available? And what tools are your favorite right now? What are you really sinking your teeth into?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm all about characters, right? I think I always say the best way to tell a beautiful story is through a character. So I've really focused on AI tools that really work great with characters. For example, Hedra. And I think right now the tool that is leading in AI video, in my opinion at least, is Kling AI, because I see Kling AI creating so really natural looking and authentic characters when it comes to movement. And I really like to combine this with Hedra AI, right, where you have these ultra realistic lip sync videos. And with Kling AI, this is one reason why I haven't used Runway Again 3 yet, although it's an amazing tool. Hedra gives much more control because you can use image to video, and the whole app is in Chinese, right? So I don't know if everyone has access yet, but you have to use it through the app. The whole app is in Chinese, but even if you can't read Chinese like me, you don't really need to. It's really, really easy to navigate through the whole app. So you can really see that they put a lot of thought and love into all this experience. And I think I think the best way to explain my process is that I have a vision, almost like Harry, right? And when I go through my vision and I already know how I want to focus on the characters, because the whole story that I want to create is all about the characters, the conflicts that the characters has, and then I see and I go through, okay, which workflows and which tools currently work best for characters. And as I mentioned, it's currently Kling AI. Luma Labs is also awesome. We have recently seen that they have pushed the keyframes where you have much more control over the AI video. And I'm really excited to see One Again 3 to publish their new image to video. I think this will be a whole new push. And I really think this will change a lot, like with Kling AI. And the best thing about Kling AI is that you can extend your videos pretty much to an unlimited amount. I've already seen people extending their videos from second to second to almost 2 minutes. And I think this makes a huge difference when you look at the video and the film, and it's not just changing the scene every 2 or 4 seconds, where you still have a long scene or maybe longer sequences, and you can look at it and it feels more natural, right? Because it's sometimes you really need these scenes that are a little bit longer. Otherwise, it feels like you pressure all these different clips into one video, and this is where Hedra AI really leads.
I totally agree with you. I think that's one of the things that makes AI productions clearly, visibly separate from traditional productions is the quick shots. And it's so many in succession that you start to question, what was the length of that? And it takes you out of the where you're immersed. It kind of takes you out of the story a little bit and makes it just pushes you away as opposed to pulling you in. And I don't know what those lengths are. I'm not a video editor and don't have much visual content
Cam, I think
production.
we lost you.
You lost me? Check. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can everybody else hear me okay? Check. Everybody hear me all right? Yeah?
Can everyone hear Cameron?
Yeah, I
can
think
hear
so.
you.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I
Cool.
can't.
Halim, can you
I can't hear Cameron.
drop and somebody ask Harry to drop and come back, and I'll add him again. Halim, if you can,
Harry, can you drop and come back?
I will do. Yeah.
Cool. We'll wait on Harry just 1 second so the conversation isn't broken and he's not coming back into a broken space. Just 1 second. Thanks for bearing with us. I know this happens in spaces quite a bit these days where one person can't hear. It seems to happen to a couple people almost every space, but it's a pretty good platform other than that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's getting better and better. I'm really also excited about the new AI live videos. Live videos. And I'm also looking forward to create some live videos in general.
Yeah, we just actually came across a platform that is doing. Harry, can you hear me now?
I can, mate. These
Awesome.
spaces are still a bit broken.
Yeah,
aren't
they are. Yes, sir. They are. That's what we were just saying.
Yeah.
We came across a company this morning. I'll have to look up the name of them, but they're trying to compete with ESPN, and they're doing AI generated sports broadcasts where it's just taking the highlights and adding, vocals over top, generated vocals of the highlight, and putting together highlight reels. And I'm like, well, that's pretty straightforward content. And I wonder, if they'll see success. I mean, of course, ESPN has a chokehold on sports across the world. But so back to what we were talking about, I think that the longer shots really do add life and real emotion to it because you get to probably connect with the characters a little bit more. So open question to both of you. On your production so far, are you coming in with a written script or a shot list that you're attempting to achieve, kind of similar to traditional production aspects? Or are you coming in with a loose idea and letting the AI do what it does and then crafting the story around those pieces? And open floor, what either of you would like to take that?
Yeah, so for me, I think it's a really interesting workflow when it comes to that. I really depend on music, to be honest. So for me, before I try to visualize my scene, I know it kind of sounds weird, but the first thing that I do is actually creating the music before I go forward and create the actual image and videos. And I really think that music itself can tell stories, right? And the best thing about music is it's kind of like reading a book. You can imagine different scenes, images, and also what people might say in different aspects. And of course, you can't just create a whole movie where constantly music is running at the background. But I think this is a good starting point for me, where I can just catch up on a specific ambient feeling on a very specific scene. And then I move forward and I create my scripts. And I think the script is the only thing where I don't use AI. And I've seen a lot of people asking me this about the script. Is the story, the script, the dialogue, the monologue, is everything AI generated? And the only thing that is not AI generated is the story and everything that I made up for myself. And I see people say, okay, then I think this is something that I would watch. And it's interesting to see that people don't have a problem with an AI image, AI video in general, except the anti-AI community, right? And the only thing that I would love to see is a story actually made by a human, and then just leveraging the AI tools to create the story and to create the vision that the human has, right? So basically, it's not generated by AI; it's in human using AI to create the story. And I really like that wording instead of the first one.
How about you, Harry? Are you generating your story, or are you coming in with a story or script or shots that you have in mind, or any visualization that's done, in a traditional sense of storyboarding or anything like that? Or are you diving in with a starting point and an end point and just connecting A to Z?
So I'm the same as Halim, as I think the story should be human. So for me, the story and the editing are the sort of 100% human, because they're the real pinch point. Obviously, the directing as well, choosing the shots and stuff like that. What I do with ChatGTP is I use it for brainstorming. So initial idea generation. It can be good to, if you've got an idea, to throw it into ChatGTP and say, I've got this idea. What do you think? How could it develop? And most of the time, it's quite, it's quite basic, the stuff that it does. But it does help you free from blocks and help your mind flow with ideas. I would use it as a dialogue thing, but what I have done is I've said, I'll be this character, you be that character. And then I've spoken to ChatGTP as another character. So I've played that role, it's played that role. I haven't used the dialogue 100% of their stuff, but I might think, oh, that's quite a nice little bit there, and that might work there. So I think that the human element's still very important. I don't storyboard as I would traditionally with a film set, because you don't have to. If the reason why we're so organised, and I still have that background, I tried to come in with the script, I tried to come in with the shot list and stuff like that, but I don't go to the levels I would do on a shoot, because it's not as important. I can revisit that set anytime I like. I can bring those actors back anytime I like. I can if it didn't work when I'm in the edit, I can jump back to it and change it. Which, as a traditional filmmaker, you can't do that. So you have to narrow down the risk of things going wrong to the nth degree and that sort of stifles innovation and stifles, we've all seen the clips of David Lynch getting pissed off because he can't have any time to play with the actors. He's like, I'm not getting any time to play with, because his producer's up his arse going, no, we need to move on. With AI, you can play. If it didn't work, you can run it again. You can try again. So I think that you need to be a bit looser with AI. That's the key. You need to sort of be a bit more improvisational and roll with the punches. So having such a strict plan when you come in, you're going to disappoint yourself. So you need to, have your, like you say, have your start and your end, have your main thrust, have your characters, have some idea of your shot selection and stuff like that, but give it room. That's what I would say. Always give it some room, give the AI some room.
Awesome. And you hinted at you're working on some pieces for commercial works. I'm interested to know if you can share anything. How are they approaching it? Are they really reliant on you? And I know, Halim, you're doing some AI consulting as well. But Harry, you're working with somebody already in the commercial space. What's their approach to the space? Are they coming in with a traditional mindset, or are they allowing some play and some freedom? And what kind of vibe or feeling are you getting from them of how they're approaching this new technology and what's possible?
So I think it's important that either the agent you're working through or you yourself as an individual outlined then to how this works. And it's not a traditional workflow. And if you produce something for them and they want to make total fundamental changes, it's going back to the beginning. It's not a computer program where you can change things. I think you need to be open and honest with them. What I've seen is, so the most recent thing, I can't tell you the name of the person, of the brand, but they had some drawings that they'd done, and the client wasn't really interested. So what they wanted to do is turn those drawings into photos. And so through using various AI tools, I could do that. And I think they were so impressed by the ability for that to happen. Some of the stuff that I couldn't do, some of the exact stuff that they wanted, like, can you have his arm up here and this and that? When I said, well, no, that's not really how it works. You'd have to, you might as well take that to a traditional Photoshop artist if you want those sort of changes made. I'm going to do this bit, and I can do some of that with generative fill and stuff like that. But if you want ultra specifics, that's where my role ends, and you move on to another workflow. So I think if you're honest with them at the beginning and set out the expectations, I think you're going to be okay. If you make out that you can do things as you would in a traditional workflow, then you're sort of undermining yourself to a certain extent.
I guess it also doesn't hurt that you're like not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on extras and film crews and lighting,
exactly, yeah,
locations.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
so
go ahead.
My fee for 2 days, it would probably be, the cost of the set. And that's not for the photographer. That's not for the, gosh. You know what I mean?
And like not even the time of finding the set. Yeah, like scouting locations or whatever. Like exactly. Literally just have the set. Yeah.
Exactly. And for me, I'm working downstairs in my own home, a nice 8-hour day for 2 days. And I'm getting money that's good for me. And equally, they're getting a massive reduced fee. So they've got to appreciate it's not exactly the same as if you want that total control, then you go for the top end, and that's understandable, And I think for a long while that will still be the top end. For clients who want ultra control, they want to sit next to the photographer, they want to look at the what they've shot there and then on the set and say, no, I need more of this, then you're going to have to be doing it in a traditional way. AI can enhance that and tweak it even further to get it the way you want. But it's going to be a couple of years, I think, before we match that at least.
Halim, what do you feel are the limitations that you're facing right now, and what tools do you think are really pushing those boundaries, and where do you see improvement necessary or needed immediately in order for your productions to reach the next level? Do you feel limited in scope, or do you feel that the tool set is offering enough today that you can get most of your ideas to come to life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what creators and consumers need is more control, right? And I saw the CEO of Luma Lab speaking about it, that they want to, by the end of the year, they want to be able to publish a model that is creating real-time text to video. And also Odyssey, a new AI video startup. So basically the same approach. They want to do real-time text to video based on 3D model generation. And what he said really stuck with me, because the problem is when we create a video, right? So whether it's for commercial use or maybe even for just a cinematic video, when you create a video, you just have the video and that's it. So if you don't like it, of course, you can edit it, you can change the lighting afterwards in post-editing. But if you are not happy with the video, you need to regenerate the whole video. And I'm really happy that there are a lot of AI companies and AI tools looking at that, and they're trying to fix those problems where after the generation, you can literally go in frame by frame, changing the details, the lighting, and that way we can get consistency. Because the most important thing, at least this is what I saw with my clients, is consistency. So if you use a character for, let's say, a commercial or for social media, and it changes from scene to scene, this is something that is really a deal breaker, right? And they prefer consistency sometimes even over quality. If the quality is a bit off, it's okay. You can still cover that up with a good story, with engagement and everything else. But if the consistency is off, it just kind of looks weird and not authentic. And I'm really happy to see where this is going on in. And this is, I think, also why one way was for such a long time the standard in AI video. Even though I still remember there was a time where stable video diffusion was slightly better in quality compared to runway video, in my opinion, and also what other creators said. But Runway offered so much control over the video, and that's why so many people still stick with Runway to this day. And that just tells us how much we need more control, more consistency, not only for creators but also for commercial use.
What's your favorite tool for generating consistency right now, or which do you think is the leader in the space, and why? Which one's giving you the most control?
So it really depends. So when we're talking about images, I think a good combination of Midjourney and stable diffusion LoRa models. If you know how to create your own LoRa models, if you know how to use Comfy UI, I think this is the best way. So you can use the quality that Midjourney offers and all the different styles, and then you can pretty much train your own image models with stable diffusion workflow. This is at least when it comes to images. I think for the most use cases, using the Midjourney tools like style reference or like character reference, this is something that a lot of people ask me: how do you get the consistency? First off, I have all my tutorials. You can find them on my links. They're all for free. But I've only used the Midjourney style references and the character references. So this is a good way to start, and then you can get like color consistency, style consistency, character consistency. And for the video consistency, I think a good combination of Kling AI and Hedra. This, in my opinion, gives you the best consistency. I haven't used, as I said, Runway that much because the text to video doesn't give me any consistency. And of course, you can get it to some kind of extent, right? You can choose the color grading that you want in your text. You can choose kind of the location, but it's not the same like image to video. And this is why I always tell people, hey, look at Runway, keep an eye on it. You can use it for some clips in between. But I think if you really want to be serious about consistency, you should use an image to video model. So basically Luma AI or Kling AI. And I know not so many people have access. So it would be probably Luma AI, Luma Labs, Dream Machine.
How do you feel about that question, Harry? What tools do you feel like are really leading as far as consistency and control over your content at the moment?
So I agree with Halim in terms of, the best for control and consistency of character is probably the workflow that he's outlined with you want image to video, because essentially you're setting your first frame. By doing that, you're shutting down, what the AI is going to do by your saying, this is what I want to see. Runway's Gen 3 is the best in terms of quality that's available to us. It looks beautiful, but you're not able to say, this is what I want to see as the first frame. You have to let it generate its first frame. So for me, it's the same workflow as Halim. I like Luma Labs, as I've said. It can do amazing stuff, but it's a bit more wild than Luma. Luma has some great movement aspects in it. So if you want cinematic, go for Luma. So if you want, really cinematic shots that are wide, both are able to extend. But if you want human movement and human detail, then Kling is just a pitch in ahead at the moment. But equally, for control-wise, if you go through my feed, there's a great, I'm bigging myself up here by saying great. I was happy with.
It is great. I'm sure.
My werewolf transformation, which was essentially using Luma's keyframes so I generated 5 different pictures of various stages of a werewolf transformation using Midjourney. So using each one as a character reference, as a picture reference, and changing it slightly as I went on until you got a full werewolf transformation. And I put that into Luma as start and end frames. keyframes, and it did such a good job. I was shocked myself because that was sort of one of my go-tos of, have we got enough control to change the same character into a werewolf? Can we do that yet? And there was some white paper stuff, the GitHub stuff that I did something with that was okay. But this made me think, bloody hell, we're there, we can do American Wolf in London. So it was really, really a breaking moment that you could put in this. I want the generation to start on this frame and end on this frame. That is ultimate control, isn't it? That's like a director saying, okay, I want the shot to start here and go here. And now obviously we're getting a bit of warping and all that involved, but this is so fresh, and we're already at this stage. It's unbelievable how quick, if I showed you some of the experiments that I did a year and a half ago, it's like going from playing on an Atari system to going to PlayStation 3 or 4 within a year and a half.
Wow.
That's where we are now. So like you said at the beginning, Cam, everything I've said is wrong about how fast these things can happen. I am someone who's very, involved in this space and likes to be ahead of things and get my hands on things and know about things. And I cannot tell you what's going to happen in 2 years. I doubt I doubt the people leading this space. I doubt, Christian at Runway. I doubt Sam at OpenAI. I doubt they could really tell you what things are going to look like in 2 years, because the space is moving that fast.
I agree. Thanks for that answer. I kind of on the same subject. You mentioned, if somebody wanted to have something exact, and you mentioned like them having their hand in a certain location in a frame, and you said you would need to go to the top for that. How long, or do you think it's going to be possible to really, key up a frame and say, in this frame, I want this hand to move? And do you think that is, to me, it just like, as a non-filmmaker, it seems so complex to ask a machine to do that of, how many, pull a keyframe and say, okay, I want the hand to be at this location. Like, how do you even describe that with words? Do you think that's possible? Or do you think we have to be accepting of what the AI generates and just put that to work, as opposed to being so strict ever? And I know today you're saying you need to let the AI kind of do what it wants, but do you think we get to that point? Do you think you get to the point where the director says, hey, I want your hand up here and waving, or I want the hand to slowly move this way? Is that coming to a tool set in the future?
I think what you could have, certainly in the short term, is you could shoot some video, or you could get a 3D model and use that as almost like a control net on. So if you had a really specific shot where you needed, someone to do something at a moment, that you could put that work in and use either a 3D model, or a real piece of footage, either stock or something you shot yourself, to use as a sort of control net for the AI to do it. So I think we'll get there fairly shortly. I think you still have to make room for the AI. In terms of speed, you'll still want to be doing a lot of your stuff image to video, because the speed of image to video is unbelievable. If you're not looking for something ultra specific, you can run 5 or 6 generations in a minute and get 5 or 6 lovely, images going on. If you have to set up something and shoot it and get an actor to do it, that's not minutes. You're talking 15 minutes, 20 minutes each time you do that. So I think you'll see those mixed workflows coming in, but eventually, it may well be possible to say, it won't be text to video. You won't be describing it in text. You'll perhaps have your initial image and then have, pathways that you can, much like Halim was talking about Runway, where you can do arrow drags to say, I want this to do that. There'll be something new. And what we've got to understand is we are at the early stage of cinema in comparison to theatre. So if you look at early cinema, it aped theatre, because that's what came before, and that's the only frame of reference they had. So you go to the cinema, you sit in, and you see a proscenium arch, and you'd see people moving about in a wide shot, because that was what everyone understood from theatre. And we're still at that stage of AI where it's copying a lot of cinematic stuff. But eventually it will become its own thing. It will bleed into video games and all that madness. And it will have its own, rules, its own control, its own ways of working that don't ape other systems but work best for it. And I think that's sort of going to come in perhaps the next 2 or 3 years. But for the short term, I think, control nets with video will probably get you that control.
Great answer. Anybody wanting to see the werewolf transformation, we went through his feed and retweeted that. So if you want to go to our feed right at the top right now, you can check out Harry's werewolf transformation, which is absolutely insane. It really doesn't have any morphing at all. It really looks like a character that you would expect to. I mean, werewolf style transformation is what that looks like. So you're right. I mean, it is mind blowing. Halim, I'm going to start with you on this question. You guys are using a lot of different tools right now. And I wonder if you're envisioning a future that has an all-in-one toolkit that's more like parallel to Pro Tools or Logic for audio, or Premiere Final Cut for editing, or like Avid level products for AI generation. That's kind of an all-in-one. Do you guys foresee a tool that trumps everything and is the king of the space, and maybe a couple tools existing? Or do you think that these things are so maybe GPU intensive that they need to be scattered out so that different clusters are focusing on different things at the moment? Do you anticipate that coming soon, or do you think it's going to be a handful of tools that are fulfilling these dreamed up generations for the next few years?
Yeah, I really like that question, to be honest, because as Harry mentioned, and I totally agree, you shouldn't marry a tool, right? So whether go with the tool creator or the creators in general. But I think I have to make one exception, at least when it comes to AI image and video. And this is why I'm so heavy on Midjourney, for example. And I'm actually more of an open source guy. I really like all the different open source models, and I think this is the way. But Midjourney, from what I've witnessed so far, and the vision of David Holtz, the CEO of Midjourney, they're basically trying to create the holodeck, right? And what they have said is that they want to being able to publish this by the end of next year. So this is huge, and I don't think, at least I can't imagine something that goes beyond that, right? So this is pretty much the ultimate AI tool where you can create 3D, where you can go to images, where you have absolute control, where you can create video, and we know that Midjourney is at least very soon starting to train their own video model. In terms of music and everything else, I think there will always be a tool that can do it the best, right? For example, we know that 11 Labs is the tool when it comes to voice or sound effects, and pretty much every other tool uses the 11 Labs API in the background. And I can see a combination of that where big companies like Adobe, for example, they will just use the best AI tools for each space. And we can see that pretty much now. They already have Magnific. You can use in Adobe Magnific AI to upscale your images. They said that they want to integrate Sora and Runway, and I'm sure that you will be able to use 11 Labs. And I think we will see more of big AI plugs, right? These plugs that will leverage all the best AI tools, and we will have these nodes where you can just pick and choose between your favorite tool.
What do you think about that, Harry?
I totally agree. In fact, Halim's mentioned the two go-to tools. So Midjourney's been a consistent for me for day one. When I said get attached to companies, Midjourney's one company that I'm very attached to because, as Halim said, David is talking about creating a world model, and I'm really excited about what happens with their video model or 3D world model or whatever it is they plan to release next year. And 11 Labs the same, the best hands down at the moment in terms of, I love using their voice to voice because it captures some of the emotion but gives you a completely different voice, so you can speak as any character. But I agree. I think kit bashing is what we call it. You know, when you're throwing lots of different things together, whether they be comfy UI workflows, whether they be off the shelf stuff like Runway, smashing them together with Kyber or 11 Labs or whatever you need to smash it together. I think kit bashing will always be the cutting edge of AI, but I think increasingly you will see spaces like Adobe try and have plugins so you can come to one workspace and use it all. Interestingly, I was speaking to a developer who initially was trying to create this one-stop portal, and they sort of abandoned it because they realized that by having different things going on in the cloud, you can have loads of things running at the same time, which makes your workflow more increased. Whereas if you have everything in After Effects or Premiere, you're limited to what that can do. Whereas at the moment, I can go to one place to generate my stuff, one place to animate it. I can be doing the voice at the same time, and I'm using other people's CPUs to do that.
Yep.
So, although there'd be one portal, I imagine that'll be pointing to various clouds.
Oh, wow. You're seeing
so
an interface. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it'd be a central interface, but it'd be pointing at several clouds. So you can say, right, I'm going to start that, then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that, because speed is the real beauty of AI, the fact that you can do something in virtually no time. And companies will want to keep that speed up.
That's incredible. And that's, something that's kind of in the news this week is Elon saying that they stopped using Oracle to build out their XAI cluster, and they currently have a GPU cluster that's 24,000 H100s from NVIDIA, and their new one is going to be 100,000 H100s, which should be the largest cluster in the world, and it's going to cost $2.5 billion. And like that is, I love that idea, Harry. I don't think I've had this conversation a lot in my private life and professionally, and I don't think I've heard anyone say an interface where you're able to interact with these tools across the board. I love that idea. I love the idea of being able to log into 6-10 different things that you are paying for access to create your generations, and then being able to leverage those different GPU clusters that are dedicated and trained on different things, as opposed to, what would it take for one company to do all of this? It would take probably more compute than XAI is currently about to train. So that is an awesome and very insightful answer. Thank you for that. So I'm going to jump into something else that's a little maybe faux pas or a little touchier for a lot of people to talk about, but I think it's so important, especially as a content distribution platform. And it's the reason, we are looking to AI to really bolster our offering as a content platform. And we see so many people kind of raising their red flags of restrictions around this stuff. And it goes to copyright. So, you're both pointing at Kling and saying how great Kling is doing. And we all know Kling is Chinese, and they are not listening or caring about European and US copyright laws in the same aspects. They are, releasing their generator to the world, and they are not subject to our laws. So I think I don't even know really how to pose the question other than, what do you guys think about the copyright restrictions around these different generation platforms? And do you have any thoughts currently on Kling winning because they may not be winning, or at least leading in some areas because they are not so dependent or focused on those restrictions or being sued? And, I'm kind of just tabling this whole thing as a copyright discussion. We've all seen that the RIAA is suing Udio and suing Suno, which are the two music generation platforms that are kind of leading. If anybody listening is not familiar with those, the recording arts industry is suing them for copyright infringement for training their models on copyrighted material. And I just want to open the floor. I don't want to ask too specific of a question. Halim, let's start with you. What are you thinking about this kind of topic at the moment, and what are your feelings on it?
I think that's a really important question, and especially for me here living in the EU, I think that's the only question that some politicians are asking here. So it's more about regulations trying to protect copyrights instead of how can we leverage AI tools. And when it comes to the Chinese, and I've seen this with the videos at least, it doesn't, and I could be completely wrong, but it doesn't feel like they have been training them exclusively on training data that has been published here, at least in Europe or in the US. When you create some of the videos and you use Chinese or Asian looking people, the videos most of the time they even look better, and it seems like they have trained most of their models based on data that is available out there. And I think the company behind Clay AI is the company that is the biggest competitor to TikTok. And I visited their app. I was curious, and it's basically like TikTok, right? And it's a video platform with millions of videos being published in weeks. So I can see that they probably don't even need to go to probably some copyright protected data like here in the EU or in the US. I think they have a lot of their own data that they can leverage. But as I said, I could be completely wrong about that. And I know this is always something that is a bit sensible, but it's also really important for us as creators because we don't know how we can protect our work, for example, right? So in most cases, an AI image can't be copyrighted. And even if you spend hours and hours in creating this, you can't copyright it. So basically anyone can use it. And I think especially in AI video, I'm generally the most important progress in AI video is actually the human touch. So the editing, even the prompt engineering, it's not just that we standing here and say, hey, ChatGPT, please create an awesome video. You need even to spend a lot of hours with ChatGPT to create the right prompts, to create the right GPTs. I, for example, use ChatGPT to help me to find keywords that I can use for my image to video because my background is not from a professional filmmaking, right? And there are a lot of keywords that I don't know, like all these angels or these frames or these different shot movements, right? And I just recently learned all about them. And yeah, I think it's almost like a win-win that we see this Chinese model really pushing because it pressures everyone, the creative companies and also the governments to move a little bit more forward and faster so that they can answer these questions. Otherwise, they will just get eaten by the Chinese companies.
What are your thoughts on copyright stuff at the moment, King Harry?
So I would say, some of the stuff does make me as a creator uncomfortable. I think we need to look at copyright in the West and we need to redraw it because if we're not, we're going to get thrashed by the Chinese. That's the reality of it. Equally, I think if you are a living artist, you should be able to say, I don't want my stuff in the training data. You should have a right to be able to withdraw your work from the training data. I don't think legacy artists, I don't think Salvador Dali or people like that who've had a profound impact on our society, I think to say that they should be able to keep copyright of their training data. Obviously, you shouldn't be able to directly reproduce their work and sell it, or infringe copyright in the traditional way. But I think once that you've been absorbed into the public consciousness and you're deceased, that is a gift to the world and shouldn't be, sort of paywalled and closeted off from people. But yeah, I also agree with Halim. The Asian people have a lot of videos of the meeting, because in Asian societies, eating with people is part of family life, and as the world has become more isolated, there is a specific, I forget the name, but there's a sort of fad of you put on a video of someone eating, and you eat with them.
ASMR or whatever. Yeah, similar.
Yeah, it's like a version of ASMR. It's called I forget I think it's a Japanese tradition initially, but because they've got so much training data of people eating through these videos, their eating and drinking videos beat the crap out of the Western ones, because Western people don't film themselves eating.
Wow.
They film the food. And say, look at how beautiful the food is, but it's not part of our culture to go on video. So the training data, as Halim said, they're like a TikTok. So those sort of people have uploaded their video of them eating, to share with their friends or family, and therefore their training data on eating's got massive. Even if you look at Hollywood films, a training data for eating, people don't eat movies. People don't have a 3-course meal on a movie. So I think that while you say that they probably are playing loose and fast with copyright because it's not as adhered to. So if you upload something to them, it's fair game for them. But equally, I don't think they're not as cinematic as other Western models, which clearly have, borrowed from Western cinema. I don't see that. That's why the spider movement's so good, and it's clearly able to mix things, like when you put a human being on top of a spider, it's able to say that's a human, that's a spider. But it's probably got plenty of training videos on spiders, and it's got plenty of training videos on human beings, so it recognises a human, recognises a spider, and makes them work in unison. So on a fundamental basis, I think we need to relook at copyright. We need to protect living artists and their right to have their own unique style and make money as a living human being, and to also have that bespoke, artistic individuality, which we get now. If you want a mass-produced chair and pay 40 quid for it, it's not going to be unique. But if you want a bespoke chair, you're going to have to pay a premium for that. And I think living artists need that separation. But artists who have been dead for 60, 70 years, who've made a profound impact on the way we look at the world, I think that's part of our collective consciousness. I don't think you can sustain that by saying, oh no, you can't put any of Salvador Dali's work into a training data, or Jackson Pollock, or movies from the 60s. All that sort of stuff, I think, is fair game now. If we want to compete on the international stage, I think we have to make that work.
Great response. And I agree. 70 years after death for copyright stuff is crazy. I have absolutely loved this space. And I wanted to give a shout out to Chrissy and Altered Alley, Mars, Styles, everybody that's joined us today. Thanks for stopping in. Harry, another question for you that kind of goes on what Halim had just mentioned. He mentioned that he's looking for keywords from ChatGPT to kind of give him some insight into the industry because he doesn't come from the traditional background. Do you feel that you have an advantage, or do you feel that people coming from the traditional content production background, do you think there is an advantage there simply because they have the lexicon to be able to compose better prompts? And are we training? Are you getting better results with more professional prompts, or are you finding that just being able to get the idea out regardless of the keywords is working for yourself?
Yeah, I think at this moment of transition, professionals who've previously been in cinema or television and all that have got a little bit more of an advantage. And it's not necessarily the keywords, but it's just the directness of the prompt. Do you know what I mean? They're used to explaining to other people what they want. So I'm used to saying to a cameraman, "Can I have this?" So I'll say, "Yeah, give me an MCU with a little bit more headroom. I want, the actor looks off to the right." So I'm used to talking to people about what I want. So therefore, talking to a machine is not too dissimilar. In fact, I'm a bit more blunt talking with a machine than I will be with people.
Yeah,
I
Siri,
still
turn
put
on
please.
my lights.
I still put please on the end, just in case we get filtered into those queues when the AI revolution comes. I'll be in the please queue. I'll get to be a pet rather than get filtered into the other queue.
I don't know if I will.
Put please, always put please. But yeah, I think, but I don't think that will last. I think as it becomes more of a thing of its own, and as perhaps newer people to the scene come to understand that through not necessarily be involved in traditional filmmaking, but AI filmmaking on its own account, I think that advantage will drop away. That's part of the reason I want to be ahead of the game, is because I don't think that advantage will last.
Absolutely. So I got to ask both of you. It's kind of a tangent question, but are you both saying please and thank you in many of your prompts?
Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Wow, incredible. Okay, all right.
I want to give props to Halim, actually, as a German speaker, using Kling to translate stuff to English. He's beaten me on those terms. I use Kling to translate stuff to Chinese, but Halim, you're translating stuff to English from your native German, and then putting that through the ChatGPT as Chinese. So you're going through almost 3 languages processes to get to your prompt. That is, it puts us Brits to shame, Halim, honestly.
It's awesome. It's very cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I think you can't get around English, right? So it is the language when you want to use all these AI video models. And I tried it with German, but even though German is also, I would say, a well-known universal language, it's not the same. It's like day and night, right?
I think all the compute is, pretty much U.S. and China based at the moment. It's all made here in Taiwan. So, I mean, that makes sense that it's being trained on most of that data anyway. I want to ask you both, you're coming from 2 different angles. So I'm going to start with Halim. Halim, are you seeing any pushback for creating AI content? Are you getting any negative vibes from people or bad responses of towards your work and your art and what you're doing? What has the response been as you're putting this stuff out, from both the community that you're sharing it with? Are you getting blowback from others jumping in and saying negative things because it is AI based, or what have your feedback been with that in mind?
So what I really like about the AI community is that everyone here is together, and even if you see someone getting a lot of pushback, you see others instantly jump in and trying to protect each other. Thankfully, I haven't received that much of backlash, right? But I must say I never considered myself an AI artist, right? I think if you use this keyword AI and art in combination, then you will get you will get a lot of negative feedback from most people. I still remember I shared a style reference code in Midjourney, and afterwards, to be honest, I realized it really looked like an Ghibli style version, right? And I saw this post being shared in this anti AI community in this bubble, and then it was later when I saw a lot of people in my comments being like, "Hey, this is not real art. Go pick a pencil, whatever." And I saw them all under my spam. I don't know why it always happened that these people are in the spam section.
That's great.
They seem like to do something wrong. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Other than that, to be honest, I only received, let's say, more than 99% of the feedback I received was very positive. Although I think X is a really crazy place to be, And I think the AI community is really exceptional. So it's not very known for being a place where a lot of wholesome people are, but this community is. It's a wonderful community, and I'm super grateful for that.
I agree. The AI community, since I really dove in from the T2 production, I have been connected with so many amazing people that just have incredible energy, are super supportive of each other, and really help. I mean, just like both of you here, you're both very willing to share, and I could name 10 others that are, as willing to share and help others, and are always. I see comments all the time cheering each other on underneath each other's posts. Harry, Ryan, you're coming from the traditional world, and you mentioned you're currently leaving your job next week or in 2 weeks to go full-time AI, and you've worked with traditional media for many years. What's the feedback you're receiving? Have you received any blowback, or are people giving you negative energy around you transitioning into this new field, or has it been largely supportive?
So I think a lot of the mainstream media is very reticent. They're concerned about the blowback, and they're worried about making the first step. But ultimately, it's essential. They're all doing it behind closed doors. Let's be real.
Absolutely.
They're all doing it in their previs. They're all trying to get their ducks in a row.
They're investing
and it is
quietly.
essentially
Yep.
they're
Absolutely.
investing quietly. They've got their own units doing research and R&D. They are all trying to get their ducks in a row. And once you see the first one cross that line and make a hit with AI, the floodgates will open, and they will all be charging after each other. Everyone I know in the space is working for big companies, doing AI research that they are under NDAs not to talk about.
We have NDAs that we can't talk about.
Yeah,
we know
I've got NDAs.
Yeah,
you've got NDAs,
Yeah.
and you see comms from those companies going out saying, "Oh, we're not doing anything." You think, I'm under an NDA, so I can't say anything. But I think in terms of the community, I would love some blowback, because as Chrissy would tell you, our friend Dale, he posted and Ellie as well. I think, is it Eleanor? She posted. Animation seems to be a big thing, and as Halim says, if you're talking about art, if you claim you're an artist and you're using AI, there's a lot of blowback. Get a pencil, that sort of stuff. My father was an illustrator from the Royal College of Art here in London, and he's been nothing but supportive. So when they say get a pencil, I say I'm no good with the pencil, but my dad, who is a qualified artist from the Royal College of Art, says stuff I'm doing is pretty good. But yeah, I think you can monetize off that on X. X is a bit of a hellscape in that respect. Dale got, I think, over 4 million views or something ridiculous like that, because the anti-IO people keep reposting it, but he also got likes from that as well. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, what's it? Any if they're talking about you, it's good.
Press, yeah.
All press is good press.
Yeah.
All press is good press. So people going, this is crap, look at this. Some people watching that go, well, it's not actually crap, it's pretty good. And he's done that on his own? Oh, that's pretty amazing. Maybe I should give this guy a call, you know what I mean? So I'm not some of it, as I've said previously, is viable. Living artists should have the right to exclude themselves. But I'm not that bothered about it. And like I said, personally, I've had 1 or 2 comments that I've met with good humour, and most of the time it's gone away. I would actually like some blowback. I'm hoping to get something. Maybe I'll do a Studio Ghibli. To be honest, I don't tend to use living artists in my prompts, and I don't tend to use exact styles in my prompts. So I think that's part of the reason is that I don't get the blowback, is that I can't. It's not directly comparable to anything, so they can't go, this is a rip-off of X, this is a rip-off of Y. The only blowback I got was from using a sort of Tom Hardy lookalike in my Cold Call film. And I sort of said, right, I won't use likenesses anymore, because it stops my ability to commercialise and monetize stuff, because they see a person and think, Christ, I don't want to go up against Tom Hardy's lawyers. It was a sort of, I was showing off on X by using a famous person, but I wouldn't do that again because it limits it. But yeah, I think if you stay away from calling yourself an artist, if you stay away from copying styles directly or copying IP directly, you will get some, but nothing on the level that you get if you directly copy stuff. I think people
Right.
get pretty upset.
As a creator coming from I in hip hop music, I look at things and think, as soon as you release it, it's over. Like you put it out there, it's no longer yours. It's now the world's, and you can have some control, but you're never going to control it totally like you did before you put it online. And like that goes all the way back to my days of taking a day to download a song that I was stealing from Napster, and that's kind
You
of
remember those?
it's kind of the same energy I have now towards AI stuff. Is there are all these compute clusters popping up, but there's also still a billion streaming services out there that everybody, anybody has a streaming service that they can go and find free content on. And there's definitely going to be the Napster moment in AI where somebody rolls out a toolkit that's the Pirate Bay of toolkits, and it's trained on everything, and you can generate whatever you want. And, that's probably going to be adult content that leads that. It's probably going to be, at least it has been traditionally, adult content has led to all of the media that everybody on here and everybody in the world uses and knows. Those that produce that content have led the way from choosing DVDs over laser discs and choosing, cassette tapes, choose like literally every choice all the way up has been made by that community. So I think that's coming, and it's really interesting to hear different people's opinions on what restrictions they think should be placed on things. And from my experience, every time we have one of these conversations, there's multiple different opinions, and I've really never heard the same opinion from anyone that's like a real consistent take or perception on the way copyright should be treated. It's really a personal taste and goes to like who you are as an individual of how you resonate with copyright laws. So, that's something Rad's really trying to focus on, is we're not telling people they can't upload anything to Rad other than like, don't upload Star Wars to Rad. Like we're definitely not going to distribute Star Wars for you for free to our million users. So don't do that. We're going to delete your account. But I would love to know what you both think about the distribution landscape at the moment. And you both have channels on Rad. Thank you for creating them. And, we're really trying to take content to where the creators are, and we're trying to give value to you in the way you perceive the value. And we're offering a pretty unique tool set that I don't think anybody else in the world is offering. I'm happy to take rebuttals to that. But at the moment, I don't believe so. And so I would wonder what you guys think. Do you think that these traditional platforms like you said, if the moment somebody makes a hit, Harry, with AI, the floodgates are open. Do you think that day is the day that Netflix announces they are going to start using AI content to generate new productions? And do you think that that'll ever be the case, or that's coming very quickly? And do you think that the pushback from traditional like YouTube and other media distribution platforms, do you think that will maintain or even pick up steam, or do you think that some of those barriers will come down soon?
I think you'll probably see a split. You'll probably see some element of the audience that say, "I don't want anything to do with this," but so I think that's why a lot of media companies are concerned, because if they're the first out the gate, they will be the first to meet that sort of resistance. Equally, I think that will dissipate with the general audience. When the first Toy Story came out, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of, this is destroying filmmaking, this is the end of everything, this is the end of human stories, blah, 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 blah. It looks like crap. It's going to turn everything to crap. And it didn't. People now, they're in the top 10 films. People love them. They are considered, standout Pixar classics. And Pixar itself is like one of the leading companies in commercial filmmaking. So I think it will be difficult at first. And I think you'll always get, like you get people who say the theatre is the highest form of art. You'll get that, but it will decrease over time. And I think, as I've said previously, the more good things are made with AI, not just clones of stuff, or badly written ChatGPT scripts with badly voiced stuff. The more quality product is produced with AI, the more this notion of this is something separate. And I think we'll get to a point eventually where you won't be distinguishing what it was, how it was made. You'll just be appreciating the product for what it is.
What do you think, Halim? Do you think that the content distribution chain is going to adapt to AI creators, or do you think there's going to be continued restriction there for a while?
Yeah, I think we have already seen, like, and I, by the way, completely agree with Harry. I just want to mention, I think we have already seen some companies using AI, and they already received some backlash for that. I remember the time when Netflix used an AI upscaler to use to just upscale some historic footage, and then it just changed the image because they were not able to use it quite well. And then they received some backlash, like, why do you need to change the image? Just leave as is, and etc. etc. And they are also hiring some AI employees, AI staff. They're looking for research on this space, and I don't think they're doing that without a reason, right? So I genuinely am convinced that we will see a lot of advancements in the space, but I also see that very soon people, not only high professional creators and professionals like Harry, will be able to create their own movies, and we already see kind of like a saturation. Everyone is able to create amazing visuals, right? And what would set apart between a great movie and an average movie is, of course, the story. But very soon, everyone will be able to create their own stuff in real time. Very, very soon. I think by the end of next year, even the consumers will be able to do so. And I think I can't mention now what is going on, but I know that some people are working for consumers on that right now as we're speaking. And they want to push some tools where, like, not creators but rather consumers can create their own movies and just watch it in real time and change things. I don't know if this will be more of a hype, right? And I think this will decide how we will watch and how we will consume a lot of the content that are produced, and also how everything will be distributed.
Great answers. All right, we've got about 20 minutes left or so, so I'm gonna wrap it up with a couple questions that I think a lot of our listeners will be interested in hearing. And I'll start with Halim. If you were starting today or giving advice to a creator that was just starting with AI today and had no idea what they were doing or how to even dip their toe in the water, where would you send them? What tools are you telling them to check out, and what's the first thing you would have them do? And any advice for somebody just getting started with AI content production today?
Oh, that's a great question. I love this question because I also had the very same question at the beginning. And I would advise to start with one tool, and it could be just any tool, right? Pick a tool that is the most used, and then cut the noise, because you will see every day, pretty much every day, new AI news, new AI tools. Everything is moving forward, and I think just getting in touch with AI is already enough for the start at the beginning. Keeping it simple, and you will realize that from day to day, everything is almost the same. Once you get used to prompt engineering, once you get used to model engineering, and then you're just switching the tools, you will realize really quick, all right, it's just a different UI on UX. And of course, there are some exceptions. So focusing on one tool is the way to go. Focus on storytelling, focus on really creating something that is personal, and keeping it simple is probably the best way. Otherwise, you will get overwhelmed really, really quick. And yeah, that's my advice for beginners.
Great answer. How about you, Harry? Any advice for somebody just getting started today? Where would you direct someone, and what would you suggest they start with?
So I'd say image generation is the key. So if you're coming in totally cold, I would say, as me and Halim have said, Midjourney, but I know that they are subscription based and can be quite expensive. So there's also tools like Leonardo, which is a brilliant, image generator, much neglected, which offers free generations, and equally Midjourney, you can rate stuff for free generations. So get used to prompting still images. Get used to prompting and speaking to a machine and asking it for what you want. Have a look at prompting videos on YouTube. Follow guys like Theoretically Media. And there is a wealth of knowledge available on YouTube, on X, that will help you get across stuff before you spend money on it. So I think that's really important. Is don't just go out and pay for a subscription or something that you have no awareness of, because and I remember when we first did the Gen 2 beta, and I posted these beautiful videos, and then as it came to public, I said, listen, I've played with this for a while and I've got used to it and I've got these great results from it. You need to look at videos about prompting. You need to get yourself across it, because you won't be able to produce these videos straight away. And I didn't want people to go in, type a man driving a car, get some warped video and go, this is rubbish, and throw it away. So I think that's important. There's so much wealth of resources out there that you can look at and read about prompting, about models, before you even pay for something. I think it's very important that you get your head across things before you dive in. And then once you've got a good understanding of how things work in terms of prompting and, video generation, you can then, pay for that unlimited and experiment away, see if you can push your own style, and also use kit bashing to create your own style. Kit bashing is like being Jackson Pollock. It's like a painter where you're pulling various brushes out and painting, and by using different models and smashing them together, you can get your own style, your own thing going. But if you're just using one model straight off the shelf, it's going to be similar to other stuff.
Great advice from both of you. And again, thank you so much for your time today. I think you're both very prolific and really at the cutting edge of AI video and content production. So grateful to have you guys in and talk with you and hear your insights. We got a few listeners. Does anybody have any questions for Harry or Halim? Good, cool. I feel like you guys answered every question perfectly, and a wealth of information here. And I really feel like anybody could jump in and listen to this and really come away with some key insights to the space and how to get started. And the way you guys are working is incredible. And we're very lucky to have people like yourself in the community sharing exactly how you were doing things and what you're accomplishing, and especially coming from two different roads. Halim coming in admitting he doesn't have any knowledge of the keywords and the terminology and the lexicon to make content, and Harry coming from the traditional background of he knows exactly what he needs to say to communicate what he wants, but you're both generating top of the line generations and content, which is amazing to see, and really in a tribute to the tools that we have and what is possible if you just have a good story and the right mindset going into it. And the kit bashing seems like the way, and Halim not letting language barriers interfere with his production at all is as inspirational as you can get. As a creator myself, it's how many tools do I not have access to because I'm not in there, I'm not using their language or whatever it is. And Halim's just just use ChatGPT and convert all languages, and there's no barrier. It's really exploding barriers in a way that I don't think any space ever has. So I just want to, tell you both again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the creations you're putting on the timeline. And thank you for being so open and able to share this stuff, because I think, we are trailblazing into a new space, and looking back at this is going to be I hate to say this term, but it's really a part of history. What you guys are both accomplishing right now is kind of key key moments that I'm on X every day, and I follow tons of AI producers, but both of your works are so eye-catching and so well produced that I think you have both created moments that are like turning points or key moments with content production that's like, holy crap, you guys are it. And it's really fun to be a part of this space and talk with you guys and be connecting and building for this community. So thank you for your time. If Tony just jumped in, our CEO of Rad, welcome, King. I'll invite you up to speak real quick, but we were just wrapping up. Had a great chat with Harry and Halim, and wrapping up here. So if nobody else has any questions, I think we'll wrap this space up, and you guys should definitely go to Harry's page and Halim's page on X. I would say, if I'm giving advice, I'm not the AI content creator, but if I was giving advice to a new creator, I would say follow both of them. Follow Chrissy. Check out who they're following and who they're engaging with. They're constantly reposting people's stuff. They're constantly commenting on other people's works, and they're the top of the line works. And like they both said, and I've resonated with so much, the AI community is very welcoming and very open to teaching and sharing information. So don't be afraid to ask questions, send people DMs, and just dive in. If you're ready to monetize, Rad's the place to go, radtv.com. And, our DMs are open. If anybody has any questions, feel free to DM me. Our Discord community is filled with creators and gamers, and there's a plethora of information available if you're just willing to take the steps and start looking for it. So, my advice would be just start creating and find a group of creators that you can connect with and contact. And I'm sure that Harry and Halim are both happy to answer questions. I mean, they're sharing things, they're putting tutorials out, they're constantly posting about what they're doing. So don't be afraid to get started. Everybody that joined today, thank you very much for tuning in. We love doing these spaces. I love being a part of this community. I can't say it enough. I'm very grateful to be able to connect with creators in this way every week. I'm blown away by the openness of the community and by the works that you all are putting out. So keep it up, keep going, and thank you for sharing with us. Harry, Halim, thank you very much for your time this evening, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. This episode was recorded. It will be uploaded to Rad and will be made available. Harry and Halim, I'll be reaching out to both of you for your addresses, your Web3 addresses, because we monetize this, and anybody who wants to view it, you will get a cut from that payment. So look for that early next week. And if you're ready to monetize your content, come over to Rad. Like I said, DMs are open. Send us a message. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. See y'all soon.
TV, they're breaking down the walls, empowering creators to answer the call. Web3 and AI, now they're leading the way, distributing and monetizing a brand new day. Putting power back in hands, creators and fans unite. With apps on every device, they bring